The first full-length film ever created was a 60-minute motion picture by the name of The Story of the Kelly Gang. 23 years later, the first Academy Awards ceremony was held, and the Oscars have been held annually ever since. In the more than a century since the inception of the Oscars, the film industry has grown far beyond what anybody could have predicted back in 1906, with such timeless classics as Citizen Kane, Pulp Fiction, and of course, Joe Dirt.
She's your sister, dude. She's gotta be, and you made out with her, man. What's wrong with you, you pervert? Well, I didn't know she was my sister when I kissed her, so it's not my fault. And she's one of the hottest girls on the planet. You just said your sister's hot. What a freak. You're going to hell, man.
So what movie does the Academy view as this year's magnum opus? Well, let's start by going through 2019's Best Picture nominees. The first of the 9 nominees is Ford vs. Ferrari, starring Matt Damon and Christian Bale. The film follows the true story of Carroll Shelby and Ken Miles as they try to help Ford Motors prevail against the automotive titan that is Ferrari in the 24-hour Le Mans race. And it definitely earns its nomination, thanks to the great sound design, cinematography, and performances from Bale and Damon. Next up is the mammoth of a film, The Irishman, from legendary director Martin Scorsese, starring the just as legendary Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and Al Dunkachino.
Wow!
Al Pacino!
It's not Al anymore. It's Dunk.
Dunkachino?
Don't mind if I do.
What's my name?
Dunkachino!
It's a whole new game.
Dunkachino!
You want creamy goodness? I'm your friend.
Holy shit, I'm gonna come.
The movie is based off of, a book. And I don't want to spoil anything about this movie because if you can muster up the willpower to sit through all 3.5 hours of this movie, like I somehow did, then it will be worth it. This is Scorsese at his best, and this film is up there with his classics like Taxi Driver, Goodfellas, and Casino. The next nominee is Jojo Rabbit, which is a JoJo reference or something. I don't know, I didn't see it. This brings us to possibly the most talked about film of the year, Joker, starring George Costanza.
You know, we're living in a society.
Joaquin Phoenix undeniably steals the show with his amazing performance as everyone's favorite society man, Arthur Fleck, or the Joker, baby. The film's essentially all about documenting Arthur's descent into madness and transformation into the Joker, and it even manages to pull off the difficult task of making the audience empathize with Arthur, even though we know his actions are morally wrong, and it constantly keeps the audience on the edge of their seats and consistently shocks them, especially in the movie's climax. Basically, what I'm trying to say is go see this movie if you somehow haven't already. The next nominee on the list is Little Women, and this movie is about female girls or something. I haven't seen this movie if you couldn't tell. After Little Women, we have Marriage Story, which follows the divorce between Kylo Ren and Black Widow after destroying Supreme Leader Thanos' empire. Again, I didn't see this movie. The next movie I have seen, however, and that movie is 1917. This film is stunning from beginning to end in almost every aspect. The cinematography, set design, acting, pacing, sound design, writing, and just overall tone of this film is executed to the finest degree, in addition to the fact that this film managed to pull off one of the rarest achievements in filmmaking history, which is the technique of making the entire film look as though it is comprised of a single shot. Please watch this film. This brings us to the brainchild of the brilliant Quentin Tarantino with his 9th film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This movie follows the fictitious Rick Dalton and his stuntman Cliff Booth. Oh, and also, Al Dunkachino's in this one too.
What's my name?
Dunkachino! Dunkachino!
This film is essentially Tarantino's love letter to classic cinema and the 60s in general. The film is overall just witty, clever, and charming, and offers so many great scenes and moments that I'm sure will become classics in a few years. Really, I could make a whole review on this movie if I really wanted to, but for the sake of time, I'm going to end the review here. Also, I think I might actually like this film more than Pulp Fiction, but don't tell anyone that because I don't want to be burned at the stakes. The final nominee, Parasite, also happens to be the Best Picture winner, and it also happens to be the 4th film on this list that I have not seen. Now this list consists of a plethora of outstanding films. However, you just can't deny that it feels as though this list is missing something, that you just can't put your finger on it. Well, I'm here to tell you that the movie you feel is missing from this list is Stuber. I'll give you a few seconds to get used to that feeling of enlightenment. Ready now? Well, too bad. I'm continuing anyway. Ah, yes. After an hour of in-depth film analysis, we finally reached the point of the video. Why Stuber should have been the 2020 Best Picture winner. Oh my god, he said the title. He said the fucking title! By some random stroke of luck you don't know what Stuber is, then let me just fill you in real quick. So basically, Will Smith, Tommy Lee Jones, and the dog work together as the Men in Black to exterminate aliens hiding amongst humans in an attempt to stop an alien invasion from destroying human life as we know it. Now let's deconstruct Stuber. We will be entering spoiler territory, by the way, so exit the video now if you have yet to view this masterpiece of filmmaking. When the film opens, the audience is thrown straight into the action, as we are greeted with two Los Angeles police officers in pursuit of a couple criminals. The criminal that David Bautista's character takes on manages to knock Bautista's glasses off his face, revealing his poor eyesight to the audience, which is proven to be very important later on in the movie, as the entire plot is built around Bautista's lack of vision. The cop duo manages to eliminate one of the criminals, but the one Bautista was fighting manages to slip away. The two cops chase the assailant, but they seem to have met their match, as he is able to execute some sick-ass parkour to reach the hotel lobby. However, Bautista goes full-on sicko mode and is able to temporarily subdue the criminal by dropping a room service cart right on his face, causing him to plummet to the ground. Bautista even uses a cool gamer shortcut to reach the criminal faster. The two chase this man until it ultimately results in Bautista's partner being killed. This death is permanent, by the way. At the end of the film, they don't reveal that she's all of a sudden recovered and is fine now. No, she actually dies, and this is key to Bautista's character development. Oh, and also, Boris. After the movie's introduction, we are introduced to our protagonist Stuber. We quickly find out that when Stuber isn't working at Outside the Box Sporting Goods, for a boss that may or may not be losing his hair.
I'm not going to Bosley, but I'm banging a chick that works there.
Is her name Propecia?
Huh?
He spends his time driving an Uber, so he can pay his half of a lease on a spin gym called Spinster for a girl he's simping over. Now, the way Stuber conveys this information to the audience is great because the film is able to get all of this info across through mainly visual means. Following the old filmmaking adage of show, don't tell. We then return to the cop we saw in the beginning and find out he got LASIK eye surgery to correct his poor vision that was set up in the introduction. The only problem, however, is that Bautista, or Vic, which is his character's name, forgot about his daughter's art gallery showing, which happens to take place later that same day. Since Vic can't see and his daughter can't drive him to the art gallery, Vic's daughter downloads Uber on his phone, and this sets up the meeting between our two heroes. Later that day, Vic gets intel from his boy Leon on the whereabouts of Tejo, the criminal who killed Vic's partner. Despite being unable to see, Vic gets in his car and attempts to drive to Leon so he can receive further intel. After destroying his car, Vic remembers the Uber app on his phone and decides to use it as an alternative. And by some unbelievable stroke of fate, Stuber receives Vic's Uber request and accepts it. This then sets up some brilliant fish out of water scenes between Stuber and Vic, which automatically gives 100 points in Stuber's favor, because we all know that fish out of water scenes are the funniest form of movie comedy. Oh, also, Stu drives an electric car.
Hey! Uber?
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Be cool. Be nice. Smile.
Uber.
Yeah. Hey, let me guess. You want me to drive you to all the Sarah Connors in the city?
Come on, start it up. Let's go.
Oh, it's already started. Electric car.
Stuber then drops off Vic at his location and is told by Vic that he will give Stu a 5-star rating if he waits for Vic to get back. After initially declining Vic's offer, Stuber reconsiders because the fate of his Uber career is hanging in the balance, and also because the movie would have only been 20 minutes otherwise. Stuber is then greeted by a phone call from his ethought queen, Becca, and finds out that she broke up with her boyfriend Byron, which means that Queen Becca is open for business. Vic soon finds out that Leon has been murdered and has Stuber take him to the location of one of the contacts on Leon's phone, Amber Titties.
Pronounce Titier. French.
Vic and Stuber then essentially drive around Los Angeles looking for Tasia. This gives the audience some quality scenes between Vic and Stu, where we get to explore their characters and the chemistry between the two. If I go over every scene between this point in the movie and the point where they find Tasia, then this video would be the length of the Matrix trilogy. So here's a montage of only the most important scenes.
Leon was a complicated man. He liked blowjobs. From the back.
Did you hear that?
Becca wants to fuck. You're gonna fuck.
I wanna fuck you.
Oh, shit!
Mr. Cortez, I want you to know I'm really sorry.
I love Ryan Gosling. Open parentheses. So hot. All I wanted to do was drive nights, a few weekends, save up enough money to open a goddamn spin gym for women with my platonic friend who I happen to be in love with. Pathetic? Sure. But it was manageable!
Yes! Get angry! Own that shit!
Who's your friend?
Steve.
Steve?
Stu.
Stu.
I'm Stu.
Nicole, wait. Keys? Zero stars. Oh, what? What, are you getting mad? Come on. Yeah, what are you gonna do about it, huh? What are you gonna do about it, Steve?
My name is Stu!
Oh. Tough guy, huh? Wanna face me like a man? All right, here we go.
Time out! Respect the time out!
Wait. Damn.
The future is female!
Couple of homeless guys humping in my store? Huh? Little squatting fuck? Stuber? That you? Oh, that's great, because you're driving Uber. That's a great pun.
He's a cop. He's working an important case.
Case? Is that what you call your butt?
I'm telling your dad he masturbated in the handicap stall.
Oh, don't do that. Oh. Just use a regular stall. Do you have any idea what it's like to know the only reason you even have a job is because your dad owns this place? And you're balding?
So the gruesome twosome find Tasia, and this is where they seemingly part ways. Stuber then proceeds to drive away and stops to call Becca so he can tell her that he is canceling his tier 3 subscription to her Twitch channel. This right here is a prime example of some of the best character development in cinema history. That is, watching Stuber complete his journey of transforming from a Rotten Tomatoes certified simp to a stone cold bona fide Chad. Welcome home, Stuber. You finally made it, you son of a bitch. Meanwhile, while Stu is breaking free from the oppression of Symptom, Vic is waiting for the police chief to arrive with backup so they can arrest Tasia and all of the people involved in the drop that's taking place. However, the chief of police shows up alone because she is actually working for Tasia, and she led Vic to Tasia so she could catch Vic in her trap. Plot twist? Plus 100 points. She then shoots Vic in the shoulder and is just about to game end him when out of nowhere our white knight in shining armor, Stuber, flattens her with his electric car.
Silent but deadly.
What the hell are you talking?
The duo then make their getaway to the heaviest song known to man, Come Sail Away by Styx. Stuber blows up one of the cars pursuing the duo, and Vic regains his sight, ushering the two into the golden age of their partnership, all while Come Sail Away rages on, but this development is immediately upended when Stu's electric car runs out of battery.
Well, switch the gas.
There's no gas! It's an electric car!
You got an electric car that doesn't use gas?
This allows Tasia to catch our two heroes, and leads to the Battle of the Ages, totaling Stu's electric car in the process. Stu and Vic take shelter in a sriracha plant, where they hide in a van with the workers at the plant and call an army of Uber drivers for assistance instead of the police because there is no telling how many other cops could be on Tejo's payroll. The Uber cavalry ultimately proves to be useless. This results in an epic battle between Stuber, Vic, and Tejo. And just when the duo seems outmatched, Vic's daughter shows up to save the day with her dog shit aim. Tejo turns the tables on her, however, and is just about to kill her when Stu successfully executes the best method of securing pussy, and that is by taking a bullet for Vic's daughter. Stu's action catches Tejo off guard and allows Vic to finally catch the man who killed his partner, thus completing Vic's character arc. The movie wraps up with Stu finally getting his elusive 5-star rating, and with the revelation that Stuber did, in fact, get Vic's daughter's pussy. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it correctly. Stuber fucks. So now that we've made it through the entire lore of Stuber, I can tell you that the reason why Stuber should have been the 2020 Best Picture winner is because the movie Stuber consists of no stupid fake-outs, has top-level character development, non-stop action, top-notch acting, an anti-simp message, funny ha-has, other buzzwords, character, charm, heart, and Stuber dog. All in all, what I'm ultimately trying to say is, I fucking love Stuber.